Wow, that was definitely, there's so many emotions that I'm feeling right now. Hey guys, Tiara here with Girl Fitness, and today's video is all about my first day of residency. So this is it, guys. Today is the day. It's my first day of intern year, meaning my first year of residency. And I'm starting off residency in a pretty unique way by starting on the night shift. So my shift will be from 7 p.m. tonight to 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. And during that time, I'll be on the hospital wards working with patients each and every moment. Since I can't take you all with me in the hospital today, I decided to open up a Q&A forum through my social media pages. So make sure to follow me on Instagram at .girlfitness so you don't miss another one of those Q&As. And there, I just had everyone ask me the questions that they would like me to answer before I walk in on my first day, and questions they'd like me to answer when I return home at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. So let's get started. So the first question I got was, how are you feeling? I'm feeling a lot of emotions right now. The first being truly blessed to be able to serve and to serve in this way during these trying times. I'm anxious, nervous, excited, all of the above. Lots of thoughts running in my head, but mostly overwhelming all of those is a feeling of being really blessed. So the next question I got was, what am I most nervous about? I'd have to say that I'm most nervous about writing orders for the first time. I've never done that before because you're not allowed to as a medical student. So as a doctor now, I'm pressing in an order and nobody else is okaying it. I'm pressing in that order as that patient's doctor. And that's really scary. There's a lot of autonomy involved in medicine, and it's really scary because you have somebody else's life in your hands. But I also know that I am very much so protected. There are lots of people around to help. And if I have any questions, concerns, or I do want to check an order with an upper level resident or with an attending, they'll be right there to help me through that process. My next question was, what are some of the assumptions you have going into your first day of residency? My first assumption is that it's going to be very fast-paced. I anticipate being on the move the entire time and not having any moment to sleep throughout the entire night shift. I assume there will be lots of moments where I have no idea what I'm doing and I'm going to have to ask for help. I also assume that I'll be receiving a lot of feedback on my progress as I'm going along throughout the night. I'm not sure if that's how it will be, but that's kind of what I envision happening, so I'm interested to see if that's the case. Another question I got was, what am I wearing today? Today, since I am on the hospital wards, I am wearing just scrubs. I decided to splurge and get a pair of figs. In addition to the scrubs, I'll be wearing my white coat and everything else that goes with it, like my stethoscope and a few other things that I have in the pockets of my scrubs and of my white coat. Another question I received was, what am I most proud of today? Today, I am most proud of the fact that I'm entering the hospital as a medical doctor, the first in my entire family to achieve this goal, and as someone who has hoped and dreamed and prayed for this day for many, many years, and who is finally getting a chance to live that dream. Many of the other questions are ones that I can only answer after I return from my shift, so I'll save those for when I get back. But before I go, I'll give you all a few of my final thoughts. Today is a day that, once again, I have prayed and hoped for my entire life. It's a very unique and very weird feeling, honestly, being able to put on a white coat that says my name and MD behind it, to go into patients' rooms and introduce myself as Dr. Range, and to be that frontline provider for so many people today. It is a blessing, it is an honor, it is something I will never take for granted, and it is something I am truly excited about. I've printed out some templates to keep me on track with each patient and what each patient needs. I have some snacks and a water bottle packed away and some study materials if I do get an opportunity to read. And at this point, I think it's time to dive right in. I'm gonna go ahead and finish getting ready, and I'll see you guys on the other side. All right, guys, so I'm back, and wow, that was definitely, there's so many emotions that I'm feeling right now that it's really hard to describe, honestly. So my shift lasted from 7 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. and today was one of the scheduled days for a nighttime morning report. meaning that everyone who was on the night shift had a morning report in which we talked about how our first night shift went with the chief residents of our program. And so after that, I was leaving the hospital around 7:45 a.m. I made it back to my apartment and I was so tired, y'all. So after that, I just showered, got in bed, and passed out. And I woke up around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, got some food in me, and now here we are. So I'm so excited to answer the questions that pertain to how I feel after my first day of residency. And I decided to do this video now before I head off for my second day of residency. So one of the first questions I got was, how did it feel transitioning your sleep schedule to adjust to a night shift? And have you ever done a night shift before? So I have done a night shift schedule before in medical school. During the OBGYN rotation at my medical school, there is a requirement to complete 1 week of nights. So it was something that I had done before. Transitioning still is never easy, and it's something that was definitely an adjustment. I wanted to sleep throughout the day and I tried to stay up the night before my night shift, but I only lasted till around 1 a.m. and then slept, woke up around 7 because I was just so excited to start my first shift of residency. And then I spent the rest of the day just kind of relaxing, getting my things together, and then I went off to my shift. So I was running on about 4 or 5 hours of sleep and then went into my shift. Now, even though I was exhausted by the time I came back, we were so busy and I was just so excited that I was starting residency that I wasn't really tired while I was on my shift. I was definitely running on a lot of adrenaline. If I could give any tips on how to prepare for the transition into a night shift, I guess my only suggestion would be that if you know that you may have some difficulty falling asleep throughout the day, then maybe just get a full night's rest the night before and then transition by spending an entire 24 hours up. It sounds like a lot, but you'll be so busy throughout the day and you'll be so pumped about starting residency that you really won't feel that tired during your night shift. But then by the following morning, the nerves will start to wash away. All of that exhaustion will come to the forefront and you'll be able to fall right asleep and then wake up several hours later, rejuvenated and ready to start your next shift. The next question I got was, how was your first night? Guys, my first night was so amazing. I'll start by telling you all a little bit about the schedule that I had. So my shift technically started at 7 p.m., but I wanted to get there early to get adjusted a little bit to everything. So I got there around 6:20. I introduced myself to all of the upper level residents, said hello to my fellow co-interns, and then we started a sign out in which the people who had been on service as late stays, meaning they had been at service from 6:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. started to sign out their patients to me and tell me everything about them. During the day, interns are given a team and they divide the patients up that are within that team. There are multiple residents, so each intern gets an equal share in the number of patients on a patient list in a team. On the night shift, there is a little bit more of a skeleton crew. So instead of having multiple interns around to take responsibility of several patients on a team, as a night intern, you take all of the patients on 2 different teams. And there's 2 night interns that split up 4 teams. So I covered 2 teams and the other night intern covered the other 2 teams. This was a lot of responsibility, but I was so excited that I was starting my first day of residency full speed ahead and probably one of the more difficult blocks of residency because I anticipate that the things that I learn on this more difficult rotation will really help me in my other rotations that I have coming up. So when I got there at around 6:30 p.m., the interns that were scheduled to be there till 7 p.m. started to sign out their patients to me, meaning that they started telling me everything that happened to them throughout the day, the things that I needed to do throughout the night, whether that be to check on them every certain number of hours or make sure to check on certain labs when they come back in. And then they also told me which patients were higher risk for needing some more complex care and to just lay eyes on them a little bit more often to make sure that if they do need more complex care, that I'm ready to provide it as soon as they need it. Then throughout the night, in addition to doing those things, I also was involved in taking new admissions. Myself and the other night intern switched off admissions. So she would get one admission, I would get the next, and we would alternate throughout the night. There were only 2 admissions, so she took one and I took the other. There were so many patients that we were taking care of that I was always busy and I always had something to do. And if there was a down moment, I would use it to learn a little bit more about each patient's case. Before I knew it, 6:30 a.m. had arrived. My day interns who had come to relieve me had arrived, and I was signing out to them in the same way that they signed out to me that night before. After that, I was involved in a morning report for the night shift team where we all kind of discussed how we felt about our first night shifts, what were some pros and what were some cons of things that we did throughout the night, what are some ways that we hope to improve, and just in general, what were our thoughts on the entire evening. It was a really great time to reflect on things and to talk things over with my fellow co-night intern and the upper level who had been so helpful to us throughout the entire night. Another question I received was, did you get pimped a lot throughout the night? So for those of you all who do not know, pimping is a term used throughout the medical community to describe when an upper level resident or an attending asks you medical knowledge questions and expects an answer on the spot. So for example, if I was dealing with a patient with a very specific disease, they may start to pimp me or ask me specific questions about that disease, what its pathophysiology is, what the typical treatment plan is, and what other conditions are similar to that condition and would therefore fall into a differential diagnosis for a patient who has that disease. Pimping can be kind of scary because there are so many different diseases, so many different treatment plans, and so many medications within medicine, so it's a lot to remember, and it's a lot to remember very quickly when somebody asks you on the spot. But it teaches you to be on your toes and to always keep that medical knowledge at the forefront of your mind, which helps you out a lot when you're taking care of patients. I was pimped a little bit over the night, but not very much at all. And it's important to keep in mind that whoever does ask you questions in that manner is only doing it to help you and to really make you think and make you realize what is important to pay attention to and to study in your off time so that you can be the best doctor for your patients when you are at work. Another person asked, what was the scariest part of my first day of nights? Honestly, I'd have to say the scariest part was the fact that I am now a full-fledged doctor and the orders that I sign are my orders. I can always check with my upper level if I have questions, but even still, it is such a unique feeling to be the one putting those orders in and having them go through without needing approval every single time for the first time. It did feel very weird doing that, but as the night went on, it began to feel more natural and I became a lot more comfortable with doing it. Those were some of the major questions that I received, but if you have any other questions, I would absolutely love to do another Q&A further along in my residency training. So always feel free to ask me whatever questions you want. If you have any specific questions you want answered right away, make sure to leave them in the comments below. And also in the comments below, make sure to let me know what you'd like to know about residency and what videos you would like to see in the coming weeks. I can't wait to continue on through residency and see what each next day has to offer, and I'm so excited to take you all with me along the ride. Once again, if you have any questions or comments, make sure to leave them in the comment box below. If you liked this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up, and if you like videos about medicine, lifestyle, and fitness, then make sure to subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys next time.